on. It's my turn. It's my turn. Last chance to get these things rolling.
Hello. This is Elizabeth Griffin, the Black Romance Writer, and welcome back to my channel. How is your New Year's going? Are you accomplishing some of the goals that you have set? Yes, we are at the beginning of the year, but we have a lot to accomplish, and we need to start off strong. So today's video is going to be talking about writing, and according to Jude Devereaux, who is a historical romance writer with over 40 titles under her name and also a New York Times bestseller, she states in the book Writing Romances, a handbook by the Romance Writers of America, that there are secrets for creating a bestseller. And according to the author, Jude Devereaux, there are hard and fast rules to writing romance, rules that cannot be broken and boundaries that must not be crossed. Here is a list of 9 things that you want to avoid when writing your bestseller. 1. Don't give your characters too many personality traits. Of course, you want your main character, your heroine or your hero, your protagonist, to have qualities that are admirable. You want them to be brave and strong and courageous and smart and kind and gentle and loving. Should I go on? Does the list seem to be endless? Quite naturally, your heroine and your hero are going to be beautiful and handsome and rich and noble and philanthropic. And these characters of yours, they speak French and Spanish and Russian and even the dead languages. And they are the type of people that everyone loves and everyone wants to be around them. They are charismatic and easygoing and insightful and quite boring because they are just too perfect. So you do not want to create a character with too many personality traits and are too perfect because your reader will not be able to relate to them. Your reader is going to have no idea what your character is truly like. So pick out 1 or 2 personality traits and stick with them throughout the novel. You can, for example, write a whole book on a heroine who is first and foremost a lover of children. Next, don't mistake cliches for plots. A cliche is an overused phrase or opinion that betrays a lack of original thought or an original idea. And I'm sure you have come across them in many books. These are predictable events or predictable actions that occur in a book. For example, imagine going to the bookstore and picking out a novel that is about an evil stepmother. And then while you're reading it, you see every plot point of Cinderella, and you can predict the ending. That would be cliche. The historical romance writer Jude Devereaux mentioned in the book Writing Romances that she read a book by a particular author that was very clichéic, and she was able to predict everything that happened in the book. So what Jude did was she went and got another book by the same author, and then she read the back of the book so that she knew what the book was about, and then she made a list of all the things that she thought would occur in this book. And you know what? She predicted exactly what was going to happen before she read the book. So these are things that you want to avoid as a writer. You want to be original, and you want to woo and surprise and awe your audience. Avoid the adored/persecuted heroine. This is the main character that everyone either loves or hates. And during the course of the novel, those people who hate the main character are viciously killed off by the author. Instead of making your main character the center of everyone's affection and attention, you should have her in a position where some characters in the book like her and others do not like her. And some characters in the book even ignore her. This gives your character dimension and depth. Don't overdo the sex Romance novels are about more than sex. You should not have an endless stream of sex scenes from beginning to end. This book, this romance novel, is about love and the journey of love and falling in love with someone. So yes, the sex scenes can be steamy and they can be hot, but your book does not have to consist entirely of nothing else but sex scenes. Write a novel, not a lecture. According to Jude Devereaux, new romance writers often have stars in their eyes, and they are hoping that their book will transcend the genre of romance. And instead of writing a novel, they begin to lecture and to school the reader on child abuse or domestic violence or drug addiction. And in between that, they will put in love scenes. So you don't want to do this. You want to create a novel. You want to create something organic, and you don't want to have an information dump. The next thing on the list of don'ts is do not write a dinosaur. You do not want to write the type of romance novel that your grandmother read back in her day, or that I read back in the 70s. You want your stories to be current and to be relevant and to be contemporary. The Harlequin romance novels that I read in the 70s always had a closed-door sex scene, so you never got to see your characters consummate their relationship. Also, the career choices for the women were limited. They were secretaries, they were nannies, they were guardians, but today things are different. Your main character, your heroine, she could be a neurosurgeon. She could be an astronaut. She could be so many things. So you don't want to write a dinosaur romance. In my Kindle Vella series, A Kamani's Christmas, my love story takes place in a city, a metropolitan city, and it is a love story between a divorce attorney and a pastry chef. So this, I believe, is an unconventional type of love story, but it is current. I also suggest that you stay within the confines of the genre in which you're writing. So if you're writing paranormal, follow the beats and the tropes and the points that are consistent with that type of genre. If you are writing historical romance, there are certain things that you need to follow, certain beats that you need to hit, and that type of story. Same thing if you're writing a mystery or a medical romance. So understand your genre and understand the points, the beats that you need to hit in order to make it a successful book and a successful read. As writers, we are creating fiction, but we are also writing because we want to make money. We want to get paid for our labor, and we want to enjoy the fruits of our labor. So we may become overzealous, and we may include things in our writing that are not necessary. So the next rule is don't put anything into your story that doesn't relate to the story itself. And this could refer to all of the research material that you have gathered, all of the character profiles that you have created. You may feel that since I've done the work, I need to include this in my writing. However, that is not necessary. That can take away from your story. Yes, you have all that information and you can use it when necessary, but you don't have to put everything that you have come across in your research in your writing. And the last piece of advice that Jude Devereaux, the historical romance novelist and New York Times bestseller, gives to you is that you, the author, should start the book in the middle of the action. And this is a quote from the author. Books today must compete with television, movies, and video games, so they must be almost as fast and as fascinating. Stories that start with whole chapters of explanation about the characters are neither fast nor fascinating. And I agree with the author 100%. I like to start my stories in the middle of action or in an action sequence scene. And I find that when I write these type of stories, I get just as invested in them as the reader does.